hopefully you don't take offense to this, but I do think that middle of the road fence sitters are an issue.
So I'm an
Like
issue.
you guys are an issue because like you said earlier, there are some things
We
you
are
need
so
to take
misunderstood. We
a
are so
side
misunderstood.
on. Like, what is it? Can we unpack that really quickly? Like, what is it that are you afraid of the backlash? Like,
No,
why
I
can't you
genuinely.
take a stance on
So
certain
it's not that I
people?
don't take stances. I do take stances. I've taken several stances today. It's just that I don't take stances staunchly on one side or the other every time just because I want to be on the red team or the blue team. That doesn't make sense. What I try to do is I always try to
It's not
take into
about that.
account
I
all
don't
of
think it's
the.
about that either.
There
I
is
don't
a
even
lot of
look at it. Like,
tribalism that motivates people taking sides on one particular side or the other for
that's
sure.
true.
And that's I'm averse to that. I hate that kind of thing. It annoys me. I hate it when MAGA Republicans do it. I hate it when the wokest of the woke do it. And you can even do that with
Why
respect to
MAGA
being a
Republican?
centrist. I didn't say you were a MAGA Republican. I just said I
No,
hate it.
but I said why MAGA? Why'd you
Oh,
say MAGA?
they're an exemplar of people who are really really gung ho about
So
things
what
on the
if I
right.
was a MAGA Republican?
Are you a MAGA Republican?
What is a MAGA Republican?
So what I was talking about are the stereotypical MAGA Republicans who are like all about America first, and they don't really want to hear any validity from the left at all. They just think the left is just wrong about everything,
But why do you
and
think
they're
that
really
that's
dogmatic.
so? That's your definition of a MAGA
No,
Republican.
I'm saying when I said that, I was talking about those people, right? In the same way that I said the wokest of the woke, right? So there are people who you could consider woke insofar as they have progressive ideologies or policies that are in alignment with wokeness, but they're actually way more careful and they actually think things through. I wouldn't be demonizing them, but I'm talking about the stereotypical blue and pink hair wearing motherfuckers that say dumb shit on a regular basis. So I'm talking about the extremes on both sides. That's what I'm talking about. So if you're a MAGA Republican
I
and you're
think
offended
I
by
think
that, I'm
I
not
think
trying to offend
MAGA
you.
Republicans get a bad rap. That's all I'm trying to say.
Well, some of them
Because
are.
technically,
Wait, some of
somebody
them
could
are
say
batshit crazy though.
some people could say that I'm a MAGA Republican.
Okay, fair enough. But I didn't say all MAGA Republicans are bad. What I said was the MAGA Republicans who fit the description that I continued on to describe, which is
Okay,
them
well, you
mother.
didn't say all that.
Oh, okay, so you think that every single person who's a MAGA Republican is bad? You thought I was saying that every single person who's a MAGA Republican
No,
is bad?
of course I didn't think that, but if
Okay.
someone watching would assume that.
Okay. Well, I guess you helped clarify that. That's not what I was saying. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to generally describe the people who are extreme on both sides. Right. There are among the MAGA Republicans really extreme versions of them who
I prefer alt right.
okay, but alt right usually have a whole bunch of racist ideas. The
So
kind of people I'm talking
that's
about
the extreme of
are
the
not
right,
necessarily racist. That's one
not MAGA.
particular brand of extremism, but it's not the only one that exists on the right. There are people who are not racist who are still batshit crazy on this MAGA shit on the right. Some of them are not even white. Some of them are people of color.
Like who?
Um,
Don't say Proud Boy.
who's super? No, I don't know how MAGA they are. Um, who is super staunch and kind of extreme sometimes. Candace Owens can be kind of extreme sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. Candace
What's
Owens
an
has
extreme stance
particular
that you
views.
have?
So one particular view that I thought that she had was extreme was that she had this whole thing about how George Floyd, because of his criminal history, couldn't like she thought that the and she was partially right in that some people on the left were doing this, but she thought that everybody on the left who was recognizing that George Floyd was a tragedy and were recognizing the injustice that they thought that constituted were holding up George Floyd to be a martyr, and despite his criminality, and were ignoring his criminal past. And I thought that was really extreme because I thought she was fundamentally misunderstanding what a lot of people on the left and
So
actually
I
a lot of
hope
people in the middle were saying.
So I want to come out and say that I do not support George Floyd and the media depiction of him as a martyr for Black America. I'm going to explain why, and I hope that some of you guys will understand where I'm coming from. Not every Black American is a criminal, not every Black American is committing crimes, but we are unique in that we are the only people that fight and scream and demand support and justice for the people in our community that are up to no good. You would be hard pressed to find, a Jewish person who has spent 5 stints in prison, who commits a crime and dies while committing a crime, and that the Jewish people champion and demand justice for. You will be hard pressed to find this in white America. You'll be hard pressed to find this even in Latino America. If there is a person that is spent multiple times in prison, you are not going to see a bunch of Latinos coming out demanding justice for this person. For those of you who have not yet seen the clips and did not pursue or wait for more clips to come out, first and foremost, George Floyd at the time of his arrest was high on fentanyl and he was high on methamphetamine. This came back in both of his autopsy reports. If you pursue the 911 transcript, you can see the person describing somebody who is out of their mind high, and which is what made the person fearful, because he tried to use a bill that I guess was a fake bill to purchase something, and then he was outside acting weird, and they, in their police call, said that this person was obviously distorted and on drugs. Now, barring all of that, nobody thinks that he should have died during this arrest, but what I find despicable to be is that everyone is pretending that this man lived a heroic lifestyle when he didn't, and I want to talk about what his lifestyle was leading up to this moment and why I refuse to accept the narrative that this person is a martyr or should be lifted up in the Black community, and that we should be buying t-shirts with his name on it. Okay,
so for me, I don't think she thought all the people on the left were doing that.
She thought that Black Lives Matter activists were doing that in particular. And
I don't, when she says
I didn't say that she thought
really
all the people on the left were doing that. I thought she thought a lot of people on the left were doing that. And she did think that. She said it several times. What are you talking about? I can pull up. As a matter of fact, in post, I'll probably put footage to prove my point.
A lot of people on the left were doing that. Just like a lot of people on the right.
I literally just said a lot of people on the left were doing that. So she's partially right. But she thought that most of them were when they weren't.
A lot, most, semantics. Hello? Like, what are we doing here?
Okay. So the majority is different from just saying a lot. Like if you have like 10% of a population saying something versus 51%, is there not a difference?
What would be a lot in that example? The 10%,
10%, 20%, something less than the majority.
So a lot is less than the majority?
Yeah, well, yeah, a lot is vague. But an example of that would be like, let's say 20% of the left. I think that's high.
The funny thing, this is I'm digressing, but I had like a bit of a misunderstanding with my sister the other day when she uses the word multiple a lot, and I'm like, okay, what do you mean by multiple? Because to me, multiple is in the same family of several, and I'm
more than
so
one.
The same thing is happening here right now. Like to me, a lot is the same as like most.
Well, a lot is vague, so you can use the term a lot to apply to a majority.
A lot to me is many.
Okay, but many doesn't mean the majority, though, right?
I know.
So I'm saying that's distinct. So what I'm saying is, Candace Owens was talking about. No, Candace Owens was talking as if the majority of the left thought a thing that the majority of them actually didn't think, and that's part of what made her view extreme. The other view was that she thought that the particular thing that she thought that the majority of them thought was that he was some kind of martyr or hero because he was murdered. And despite his criminal history. And what I'm saying is the vast majority of vast majority of the left did not think that. That's not why they were up in arms about George Floyd. It's not because they heralded him as some kind of hero.
You could say the same thing about Kyle Rittenhouse. They did the exact same thing with the right.
Okay, fine. But that doesn't change the fact that this is an example of extremism on this side. Now you're just swapping out examples of extremism from the other side, which I've already acknowledged. I'm not denying that the left has done this.
I mean,
so here we have, first and foremost, let's start from the bottom of his record. And by the way, I am not saying that if you have a record, you don't deserve a second chance. I think people get arrested and some people can serve time in prison. And I believe in second chances, but I do draw the line when it comes to second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth chances. 1998, he spent 10 months in prison for theft with a firearm. That was the first prison stint that I could find on him. In 2002, he spent 8 months in prison for a cocaine offense. In 2004, just 2 years later, he spent another 10 months in prison for a cocaine offense. In 2005, he spent another 10 months in prison for having less than 1 gram of cocaine on him again. So in my opinion, George Floyd was a criminal. He was a criminal. And just because he was a criminal doesn't mean he deserved to die at the knee of a police officer. But it does mean that I am not going to play a part of the broken Black culture that always wants to martyr criminals, who wants to pretend they were these upstanding human beings that just wanted to help society, that just wanted to reach out and uplift society. And he has a rap sheet that is long, that is dangerous. He was an example of a violent criminal his entire life. okay? Up until the very last moment. Now, again, I am not going to stand for this continual bottom-feeding narrative of us martyring people that have had 5, 6, 7 stints in prison and then pretending they were upstanding heroes to our community. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Excuse my language. It's absolute bullshit, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of having to play pretend. I'm tired of sitting here and being called a coon or an Uncle Tom because I won't play this bottom-feeding game with you. If you want to hang up posters of criminals on your wall and talk about them as your martyrs, do it. Do it. You can do it. Kobe Bryant was my idol, okay? I'll keep a photo of Kobe Bryant. You can keep one of George Floyd and pretend he was an upstanding human being that just once or twice put a gun across a pregnant woman's belly. Could you imagine that woman right now? That black woman, by the way? Right? Watching everybody pretend this person was an upstanding human being who just at the age of 42 and 5 prison stints was going to get his life together. I mean, it's embarrassing. We are embarrassing in that regard, right? This is why we have a cycle and a toxic culture, because nobody wants to tell the truth in Black America. It's so easy to be a victim. It's so easy to ask white people to bow down and apologize and do all these things for us. It's crap. It's crap. It's a lie. It's a farce. Our biggest problem is us, okay? I'm a big believer that no matter what color you are, you do stupid things, you win stupid prizes, okay? We have to do better. We have to teach our kids better, or we're not going to get ahead, right? Anyways, this is just a rant because I have been feeling super, super, super annoyed at these depictions in society. I have no apologies here to make. George Floyd is not my martyr. He can be yours. That's all I have to say to Black America.
I don't think she took an extreme stance on that.
So, okay. The extreme stance that I was trying to articulate, which you didn't let me finish, was that there was nothing to recognize about George Floyd that merited the response that most of the people left of center had, the visceral reaction that they had to the way that he died. That's extreme. She was emphasizing his criminal history and making it seem like we should just ignore him and that he deserved to die. That's pretty fucking extreme.
She said that?
She was talking in that vein.
She said that he deserved to die?
No, she was talking in that vein. I don't think she explicitly said George Floyd deserved to die. What she did say was that George Floyd should not be a hero, that she didn't explicitly say this, but she was talking as if we shouldn't really be this concerned or up in arms about George Floyd because George Floyd did a whole bunch of vile things. And that's extreme.
Jason.
And you also, how can you have this stance all of a sudden when you admitted earlier that George Floyd was a tragedy?
Okay, no. Okay.
Yeah, both ways,
because
man.
Two things can be true at the same time. It was a tragedy,
but also we shouldn't care.
Means.
But also we shouldn't care.
It was a tragedy, but by no means should it have been a national story. By no means should we have all been warped into that whole thing, feeling all the things that we were feeling about that man. Come on. By no means people should have been erecting statues in his honor. Are you kidding me?
I think that's true. Well, actually, so this is where I'm going to be. This is actually going to be where I'm going to be an annoying Milton Spinsetter, because the monument thing is actually controversial now that I think about it a little harder. But that was actually one of the points that I thought she made that was kind of understandable, because of the hero worship nature of the monument.
Why can't it just be understandable? Why does it have to be kind of?
Because part of it was extreme, which is the part I'm criticizing, which is that we shouldn't care about this man at all. Like he didn't deserve any attention whatsoever.
Said that? I mean, look,
you literally just argued that we should not have marched in the streets for George Floyd, and it should have been a national news story. It wasn't worthy of national public attention, correct?
He committed a petty crime and suffered the consequences.
So he used the counterfeit $20 bill, and he deserved to die for that?
No, okay. Wow.
I didn't say that. That's extreme. Okay, then what are you saying? Then state it plainly. What are you saying?
His actions led to his unfortunate demise. I don't think he deserved to die. No one does. Okay. I don't even think Candace knows he didn't deserve to die.
Okay.
But his actions.
So then why bring up his criminal history? Why bring up his criminal history?
Literally.
Why bring up his criminal history?
The counterfeit, he would be alive today.
Why? Probably. Also, if he didn't have his neck leaned on, he probably would be alive today. That's at least an
If
argument.
he didn't take fentanyl, he would probably be alive today.
Probably. There's a lot of different causally. So there's a lot of different things. Like if he hadn't have gotten out of bed at the time that he got out of bed, or if he hadn't been driven in that car by his friend, there's a lot of things that could have happened that would make him still alive. That doesn't mean that it's his fault though. What? Like, okay, what I'm trying to point out is the thing that you keep not saying, and that Candace Owens, I don't think said explicitly because it would be hella controversial, but it was implied by her stance, which is that this man was not worthy of our public attention because he had a criminal history. That's extreme.
He wasn't.
Okay, that's extreme. That's extreme.
How?
Because if you can be a victim even if you have a criminal history, right?
Okay, that I don't think that's what she was saying. He was a victim,
You
right?
literally, yeah.
No. You just said he didn't. I said that Candace and I both agree that he didn't deserve what?
You said that he wasn't worthy of our public attention.
Yeah, he wasn't worthy of the public attention.
Why not?
Absolutely.
Why not?
It did I mean, come on, the situation just didn't fit a public, like national, international attention. It just didn't.
Why not?
They made it
Who's they?
garner all of that attention. The
Who's
media.
they? The media.
The people that wanted
the media
Democrats
definitely the media definitely put a lot of gasoline on that fire. That is for certain.
Yeah.
You're preaching to the choir there, but that doesn't explain why you think it wasn't worthy of our public attention.
It was. I just said it was a petty crime. You think a counterfeit? Wait. You think him giving a fake 20, right? Mm-hmm. And then all the events that led to the knee on his neck. Even the knee, the knee on his.
Nobody was marching in the streets because of the counterfeit. Let me make this clear.
None of us knew about it.
Let me make this clear because I want to be fair.
That one situation caused a summer
let me get it out.
Of terror.
Let me get it out. And I've already criticized that, but let me get it out. Nobody was up in arms about the fake 20. People were up in arms about what they perceived to be a black man being strangled to death by a police officer as onlookers looked on, and the police officer looked like he didn't give a shit. That was what the optics of that were. And that was an example of police brutality, which Black Lives Matter had been campaigning on and trying to raise awareness of for the longest time.
So you think that story should have been...
No. I'm trying to explain what people thought they were seeing when they saw it.
No,
even people right of center thought that because that's what the optics looked like. It was very strong.
Right.
The details that you're citing now came out after the fact. Right. But what everybody thought that they were looking at was an undeniable example of police brutality against a black man by the hand of a white man. That's what they saw. So why is that not worthy of our attention?
Why is the way he died under the hands of a white man not worthy of our attention?
Why is an act of police brutality, at least ostensibly, or at least that's how it looked, the optics of it, why is that not worthy of national
why aren't all acts of police brutality worthy of our attention?
I think they are.
Why? I think why? Wait, why?
Because the police perpetrating crimes against citizens is a problem. It's a huge problem.
They don't do it are they doing it every day?
I actually don't think that they're doing it to everybody, and I don't know that they do it every day. They might though. I don't know.
They might. You're right.
The point is, we should remain vigilant against that shit because it ain't cool. Because the people whose job it is to protect and serve and actually enforce laws should not be breaking them willy-nilly, and they should not be doing it against historically marginalized groups of people like they have done in the past. Right? Police brutality against black people has a very distinct history in the United States, right?
Okay, yeah, but what I don't know. A part of me still believes that there shouldn't. I think
I agree that I acknowledge that you're in alignment with Candace Owens more than I guess with me right now, and I feel that. But what I was trying to give an example of is what I thought about her position was extreme. I don't think everything about her position was extreme. So, for example, the criticism that she had.
I want to know why you think it's an extreme position.
Because the fact that a person has a criminal history is not a legitimate basis to deny when they're victims, if they're actually victims.
Okay, so and I vehemently said this when she was doing it. I don't think you need what happened in that very moment was enough. You don't need to bring up someone's criminal history to make your point on him not being a very good person, right?
Okay, so you're starting to acknowledge the extremism that I was talking about. That's just one
Okay,
example.
oh my God,
There
okay.
are people within the MAGA crowd that have extreme views like this. That's all I was trying to say.
Okay,
I'm
I
not
don't
saying they're
like.
bad
Hold on,
people.
hold on,
I'm
hold
not
on, hold
saying
on.
they're evil people.
I
I'm
don't.
not Joe
Okay,
Biden with the dark Brandon speech.
okay.
I'm
So
just
I
saying.
don't like. I don't wait because I've already held this view. I don't like that. I don't want people to think you made me think this way. I already held this view that I
You're
thought
welcome, by the way, for me changing
no,
your perspective.
stop it.
You need us,
Stop it
milk
right
toast spin
now.
sinners. We're really good at saying both
No,
sides.
no, you're not. I always felt no.
Go ahead.
I always felt that no one should bring up someone's
I
history.
genuinely believe you.
It doesn't matter in the moment.
I genuinely believe you.
Like people kept saying, "Oh, he put a gun to a woman's stomach." Like,
yeah.
What does that have to do with this? Like nothing.
I agree with you. I agree. And I believe you that you thought that before I said anything, for sure. I'm not even playing. But I was just trying to, because it seemed like you got a little bit triggered by the fact that I mentioned MAGA Republicans in the same breath as extremism. And some MAGA Republicans are extreme. Not all of them, but some of them are. And some woke people are woke-tarded.
Agreed.
Okay, so if you can recognize it on the other side, you should be able to recognize it on your side too.
I wasn't if they came out as me being triggered, that wasn't the intent. I just wanted to make sure that the audience knew that you weren't, because I mean Joe Biden did the same thing, right? Like
Joe Biden said something very similar.
MAGA Republicans,
although Joe Biden made it seem like supporting Trump is somehow has a special connection with insurrection.
Basically, if you support Trump in any way, shape, or form, like you are an extremist.
Yeah, I think that went too far.
So I didn't want people to mischaracterize your statement in that same way.
I appreciate you looking out for me. I don't want to get canceled by the right any more than I want to get canceled by the left. But the left is more likely to cancel me because that's how they operate. But I don't know. The right is they cancel sometimes too. Tommy Lauren got canceled from the Blaze. That was pure right wing cancellation. And Liz Cheney got canceled by the voters. Although that's more legitimate because that's how voting works.
Yeah.
But yeah, But
I feel like the right cancels the things that should be canceled. Whereas the left
biased. That is so biased.
That's fine.
Sometimes the right gets it wrong.
I'm cool with that.
Sometimes the right gets it wrong too, though.
Give me an example. Maybe I can't think of one, but give me because I
do you think the right should have canceled Tommy Lauren from the Blaze?
I don't know what did she do?
She went on The View and she gave an interesting perspective on abortion that I think a lot of people right and center had a problem with. And her thing is, if I as a conservative am going to talk that big talk about how the government is too big and the government should stay out of people's lives, then I can't be for government policies which explicitly prohibit women from being able to make medical decisions with their doctors.
You call yourself a conservative Republican and a constitutional conservative, but you also consider yourself pro-choice, which is interesting to me because 68% of conservative Republicans think that abortion should be illegal across the board.
No, I'm pro-choice, and here's why. I am a constitutional, someone that loves the Constitution. I am someone that's for limited government, and so I can't sit here and be a hypocrite and say I'm for limited government, but I think that the government should decide what women do with their bodies. I can sit here and say that as a Republican, and I can say, you know what, I'm for limited government, so stay out of my guns. And you can stay out of my body as well. So I think it's...
You need to go out and speak to women about that.
I do every day.
Women.
I do every day.
Okay.
And, I get a lot of attacks from conservative women as well.
Yeah.
I think it's
unusual.
Equal hate from all sides for me.
That was a very interesting, nuanced view. And I was shocked that she said it, but I was glad that she said it because I thought it was a view that a lot of people right center needed to hear. And because she said that, the Blaze canceled her show. Damn.
The fallout was swift and biting. A social media firestorm for the social media darling. But it's when she got back home to Dallas, she says, that the other shoe dropped.
I was getting ready to go in and do my show, and I got a phone call saying that show was not on. It had been suspended for a week, perhaps longer. I was flabbergasted.
Laren says the Blaze suspended her and terminated her show because of her pro-choice statements, a claim the Blaze denies. Laren is now suing for wrongful termination.
This is not about politics. This is about someone who had an opposing viewpoint that has been silenced and sidelined and thrown away.
The 24-year-old inviting us into her home for her first televised appearance since appearing on The View.
Clear things up. Were you fired? Suspended?
I get up in the morning, I don't have a job to go to. I don't sit down in my chair and deliver my final thoughts. I don't have a dressing room. So I'm terminated. I'm fired.
Are they still paying you?
Yeah, they're still paying me.
In my neighborhood, when you're fired, that means they stop paying you.
The way I look at things, I'm not doing what I was contracted to do, which was produce a television show, a political talk show. I no longer get to do that.
Although she's being paid through September when her contract is up, she wants out, saying in her suit, expressing her First Amendment rights and her personal opinions about a woman's right to choose is not grounds for termination, and that Beck and others embarked on a public smear campaign against Laren in a clear attempt to embarrass, humiliate, and undermine her.
I was like, wow, like the free speech crowd, the free speech motherfuckers.
I didn't even know she even had a Blaze show. Like I don't watch her.
Final Thoughts came from the Blaze. That was when she first did Final Thoughts, and then she did a new version of it on Fox.
I didn't watch her, so I didn't.
She used to go viral because she used to say some problematic shit on a regular basis.
I've heard of her name, like she's had spats with like Wale, right, or something like that.
Maybe Charlamagne the God. Her and Charlamagne the God. She compared the BLM to the KKK. That was one of the viral things that I heard. That's when I first got introduced to her. And she did it again. Yeah, I know. And she did it again on She made that same comparison on the Daily.
Want to talk about protecting Black communities? You can't just select the things that you want to talk about. You have to be mindful of all of it.
Well, you have to understand, Jay-Z also said in a rap that he went through that. So hopefully the next generation of men didn't have to go through that. He also said, don't follow me, follow my moves. So when you talk about changing the community, Jay-Z changed the community as soon as he decided he wasn't selling drugs anymore. As soon as he decided he wasn't selling drugs anymore, he went into legal businesses and he took other brothers off the street and he showed other brothers the way. So I don't understand how you can sit there and judge somebody off their past, especially when you say that America needs to stop ripping off the historical Band-Aid and give it some time to heal. Okay, and I agree with you on that. But this is the thing. If you don't want us to look at the past in America and the things that happened and you want us to deal with it now, why are you trying to use Jay-Z's past against what Beyonce is saying?
I'm not using it against what Beyonce is saying. I'm saying if we want to talk about the problems in Black communities, you can't just talk about police brutality. You have to talk about all of it. Otherwise, it will never be a solution. There's still going to be problems in Black communities. If white officers stop shooting any Black person, there are still going to be problems in Black communities. We need to address that as well.
Okay, if you go to a HIV/AIDS rally, right, and the rally is about HIV/AIDS, Tommy, do you stand up and say, "What about cancer"? Do you?
No, when you go to the Super Bowl and you're celebrating a day when everyone to come together, you don't stand up and salute a terrorist organization like the Black Panthers that were committed acts of violence. I would never support a group that was a white supremacist group or any other group. I don't condone that. There are better leaders. There are better leaders than Malcolm X and the Black Panthers.
You should watch I'll probably put it in here and post. She went on Trevor Noah's show, and her and Trevor Noah. But they don't have a long form convo like we did, which is what I think our discourse would benefit from. It was, but talk show. She was kind of the visiting team. He was kind of at home with his crowd of liberal types, and whatever. She got some notoriety, I guess. I guess it benefited her in some way.
So she got canceled by the
the Blaze, yeah. And there's other examples I could, if I thought hard enough, I could follow.
Cancelable offense, but I mean, if you are a network that has certain principles when it comes to issues that are very important to the right, and you don't align with that, I mean,
it seems like Republicans were trying to cancel Trump, but they just can't because too many people like that motherfucker.
Yeah, they can't. They can't cancel. They have been trying, but they can't.
I mean, the right cancels too.
Oh yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think that they do it when it's warranted.
You think it's warranted for them to cancel Trump?
Look, I'm a Trump. Look, I voted for Trump, right?
I voted for Trump in 2022.
So the thing is, if we had other options,
probably not for the same reasons you did, though.
Oh wait, why'd you vote for Trump?
I voted for Trump because it was the biggest middle finger I could muster to the left. Because they have lost their goddamn minds in 2020. Well, he wasn't going to come nowhere near these 55 electoral votes in California anyway. So I already knew it was a wasted vote. And
that's a whole nother conversation because I feel like California is way more red.
I was this close to voting for I was this close to voting for Kanye West because I wasn't really feeling
Yeah, I wasn't
either
gonna do
candidate.
that.
I didn't fuck with Biden or Trump really, but motherfuckers kept telling me that it was irresponsible to vote for Trump as if it weren't irresponsible to vote for Biden, and that pissed me off so much. I was just like, why are y'all shilling for this
I
dude?
just don't see how anyone thinks that Biden thought that Biden was the better option.
Because that Trump derangement syndrome runs deep, bro. CNN dedicated their fucking airwaves to try to make it. I don't think he was clearly the better option because I think both of them were terrible options. Both of them were objectively shitty choices. Trump is not a good person or president. You think Trump's a good president? Did you think Trump's a good president? Be honest.
For what he was able to do, yes.
What was he able to do?
The tax cuts, his stance on illegal immigration. I mean, I think
I gotta steel man you a little bit. No new wars.
Yes.
Historic peace deals.
And no one wanted to acknowledge him for all that.
Yeah, because they have that TDS. It runs deep. They don't even know about it. You got the opportunity zones. I thought that was promising.
Yeah, that was great. Yep, I remember that.
Down. He funded HBCUs.
Was it 10 million?
Yeah, something like that. I those are the bragging points that he had. He did a shitty job handling the pandemic. What do you think? Other than Operation Warp Speed, I'll give him credit for Operation Warp Speed because we did get vaccines pretty quick.
I think he handled it the way anybody would have handled it.
But that doesn't mean he did a good job.
No, I agree. Okay. But I'm also measuring it with how other people in that situation probably would have handled it, and they probably would have handled it the same way. Because
but let's give him his.
Biden came into office, he didn't do anything different. He did nothing differently. So I mean,
well, he tried to.
What? How? What?
Remember the thing that went all the way to the Supreme Court? He tried the mandate. He tried
the mask mandate, the federal mask. I remember that.
Vaccine mandates too, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court with OSHA and everything.
At least Trump let people choose. He let the states choose what they wanted to do.
Yeah, but didn't that contribute to like all those people dying? Isn't that a bad thing? It enabled the.
We really want to go into this COVID stuff.
Well, here's the thing I'm trying to test. I want to test how objective you can be about Trump. I can be objective about Trump. I can give Trump his dues, but Trump got a lot of shit that he did wrong, and I want to acknowledge those. So one of the things that he did that was wrong is that election shit. He had no evidence or no real basis to say that there was widespread voter fraud, and he still maintains that narrative to this day.
So
that's an L. That's a major L.
This is what I'll say about that.
We got a whole new show to do, right?
Huh?
We got a whole
I know.
You talking your ass off. Go ahead though. I ain't mad at it.
I think that
I got like 16 more things that he sucked at. I want to point out.
I think with the whole election stuff, right? Because I was watching too, and this was the way the election went in 2020 was, it's never been done before.
Yeah.
And I think there were certain liberties taken because of the way of how people got to vote. Now, I do agree that, you didn't say it, but I do think that you can't just make allegations based off assumptions, right? Because I had the same assumption. All of a sudden, these votes coming out of nowhere. Why?
I did too. I got caught up in it too. To be honest, I got caught up in it too. I think there was
the media prepped us weeks in advance that you're not going to know who the president is.
I got caught up in it too. I remember feeling very suspicious.
Again, like all of that, I think definitely.
But I've come around though. There's no evidence. Like to me, I was always what I was mad. What I was the most incensed about is that they didn't even want to do the fucking. They didn't even want to do the investigations, and that was pissing me off. was like, bro, you need to investigate. There's a
Who
lot of
didn't want to do
unprecedented
the
shit.
investigations?
A lot of people on the left was like, no,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
he lost. Like we
yeah.
don't have to do audits. I'm like, nah, bro. I want investigations. That shit is weird, bro. A lot of funny business. They told us that a pipe burst and that's why they went home. I'm watching video footage. Them motherfuckers is counting with no fucking viewers and shit at State Farm Arena. That's fishy as fuck. They're pulling out ballots from under tables. I was hella mad. I was like, what is happening? But I did the investigations. I did the research. I waited for the investigations to come out, and Republicans and conservative types wasn't able to produce anything actionable.
But the thing is, Jason, and this is, I really do believe this, like when you have certain people in power that like regardless of the evidence that you're presenting, they're not going to budge regardless. You know, that thing that Black people love to bring up about the justice system, right?
Yeah.
Because I
a lot of people right of center started agreeing with them motherfuckers after the election. It was like, this is an injustice, systemic. But I'm gonna tell you this though. This is why I had to come down from that. It was because I gotta stay objective, and sometimes even I lose it. And I wasn't proud of that, because I think in February, it was around February or whatever, after the election, Facebook reminded me of a post from then, February 2021, and I said something about, there was a phrase in there, and I posted about it on Instagram, about how he stole the election. There was some kind of quick phrase about how if you're going to steal an election, then you might as well do it in a way where we can't actually tell you're doing it, something like that. Because I was convinced that this motherfucker had done some shady shit. I was very convinced, but I didn't have the evidence at the time, and so I let my feelings get away with it, and I made claims that I couldn't back up. No, 2020. It was 2021. 2021 is when I did this post in February of 2021, after the 2020 election, right? So Biden had been sworn in January, and it was like a week later. And I was a little embarrassed by it, because I violated my own standards of don't assert things without being able to demonstrate them.
Yeah.
And I still feel bad about it. I'm like, man, and I was going to delete it because I was so embarrassed by it, but I was like, you know what? Nah, I'm going to take this L, and I'm going to make a post about it, because I've sobered up since then. And even who I try to, take pride in being objective, even I felt susceptible to the kind of political polarization. And like, I wanted to remember that, because it's like, I don't want to do that again. And 2024 is coming up, and I'm sure there's probably going to be some shit. And I don't want to fall prey to that shit. I'm really trying. And then this goes back to the question you asked before. You wanted to unpack my centrism or my being a moderate. Mm-hmm. It's not because I'm afraid to take a position. It's because what I'm really trying to guard against is becoming overly dogmatic about a position that's indefensible because of my emotions or my feelings, or because I'm married to a particular party or married to a particular ideology. Because I've been wrong before. Mm-hmm. The first time that I think I've been wrong in a major way was when I used to be super staunch Christian, which is one of the reasons why. The reason why I voted for Obama was very, very simple. It was because he was black. I have criticism against Obama, though, but I was never opposed to criticizing him. It was just that I wanted to be a part of the generation that voted the first black man in office, and I'm proud of that.
We should do another
his policies
live.
Yeah, okay, we can. But his policies, I didn't agree with all of his policies at all. A lot of his policies I disagree with, but I didn't realize I did till after the fact, because I wasn't politically aware when I voted.
Yeah, same.
So that's how that went down. But Obama had some qualities about him that I liked. He was very well spoken, very charismatic, very charismatic. Trump was in many ways the opposite of that. Trump is a very vapid person. He doesn't use his words well sometimes.
But don't you love the balance?
No, I don't. That's not balance. That's a deficiency.
You know what? I think
Biden sucks at speaking too.
And I think a lot of people would agree with me, especially if you grew up like in an African household. Like, Trump is nothing. I'm sorry. Like, I didn't think anything he was saying was that mean. Like, I was just like, okay, talk your shit.
Well, if you're overly sensitive, then everything he says is mean. But also, he had the wrong politics. That's really what people didn't like, is that he became the figurehead of something that they associated with racism and backwardness and dogmatism and uber religious fundamentalism and white supremacy. So all of those bad things he became the figurehead of that.
Yeah, but they put that on him. I don't think he exuded any of that.
Some of it, like, for example, this kind of chauvinistic attitude, he definitely exuded for sure. That motherfucker is. I think he's been a chauvinist most of his life. I don't think that dude's very respectful to women, dude. Do you think that Trump is respectful to women?
That was something I was willing to eat.
Okay, but I mean, you was willing to eat a lot because Trump had a lot of deficiencies. That wasn't it. And actually,
No,
let
he
me
did,
count.
and
Let me
and
count
that's
the
why.
ways. Another thing that he deserved to be criticized for is criminally indicting illegal border crossings. I think that policy has a lot of things to criticize. I wasn't a fan of that. The reason why is because the separation of children from their parents involved a bunch of instances where the legitimate children of actual migrants, or if you want to call them illegal immigrants, if you prefer, or undocumented immigrant, whatever you want to call them, had a hard time being uh,
So the only reason
what's the word I'm looking for?
reunited,
Reunited with their family members
the
for like
only reason,
months, for like
the
a
only
long
reason,
ass time. That ain't
the-
cool. One, two, immigration court was backed up to the point where you had some kids as young as 4 years old who don't speak English representing themselves in immigration court, and that negatively impacts their ability to successfully seek asylum. And we have all kinds of obligations in terms of our contractual agreements with other countries to like make sure that asylum seekers, get their right to due process. And I think that was a violation of due process. And the way our immigration court system is set up is that a lot of these immigrants do not have the right to an attorney. And I think that that's a problem. Another thing is that at least 7 children died on U.S. soil in custody at these immigration detention centers because the detention centers weren't able to accommodate them. These are very young children in a lot of instances. They had to deal with and some of them didn't die, but they had to deal with conditions such as they didn't have diapers on hand, so they had to wear the same soiled diapers for like a week. That's a huge no-no. They also had, I don't know if I said this to you earlier, maybe somebody else. They also had
no, you did. I just thought you were repeating it because
Oh,
you're gonna.
sorry. So I said this already. Then it was the
You're
baby
gonna make it
formula.
a
They were using the
no,
same
no,
bottles
you
without washing
can.
them.
No, because you can make it a separate segment.
Okay, cool. But the point I'm making is those are fair things to criticize. I also didn't like the travel ban, which they called the Muslim ban, but I don't think that's a fair moniker for it because some of the countries on that were not predominantly Muslim countries. That's
I was
always
actually
pointed out
for
by
the
people
travel
right.
ban.
I didn't like the travel ban just because of the way that it was done. It was done immediately. You had a lot of U.S. citizens that couldn't come back into the country because they happened to be out of the country when the travel ban went into effect, and there was no accommodations for them. These motherfuckers
Really?
had jobs. Yes, really.
Really? I didn't know
Yes,
that.
really. And that they filed an
I
injunction
thought
against
the
that.
travel ban was for non-citizens.
No, the travel ban it stopped all travel from certain countries. Even if you were a U.S. citizen, you couldn't get
Oh,
in.
I didn't know that.
Exactly. A lot of people don't know that because they don't read. not that I'm not trying to indict you, but I'm just saying a lot of people. You'd be surprised how many people don't know that who
No,
are
you're right.
for it.
I didn't read.
Right, but I'm not saying you don't read in general, though. I'm not trying to put that on you. But what I'm saying is, motherfuckers didn't look into it, and so they chose a side without looking into it. People on the left were saying, "Oh, it's all a Muslim ban," and they didn't look into the countries. They didn't look into like whether or not the countries
Yeah,
on the list were
Nigeria was
majority
definitely
Muslim.
on there.
Right? Like they didn't look into that at all. They had a slightly better argument to say it was, oh, well, these are all like majority people of color countries. So they tried to twist it into racism, but it was
Yeah,
like these
xenophobia.
were the list of countries that were like provided to the president of having like national security risks in terms of travel from them. So that's why he stopped them. Nobody got that context because they wanted to frame it.
That was the
Like I
context
hate when
got.
people do that shit. But anyway,
Yeah.
like I still had fair criticisms against it because of the way that it was done. And that's why they filed an injunction and like they had to halt it temporarily. And then I think it ended up going back into effect. But like by then, you had students that were out of the country, and you had just U.S. citizens that were out of the country for business and stuff that couldn't come back in for extended periods of time. They were missing school days, they were missing their work and stuff. Like it was like fucking up their whole lives. Like that was irresponsible. I didn't like that. That's fair criticism, I think. But people don't criticize Trump like that. They always criticize Trump as the orange man's bad, the orange man's evil, the orange man's secretly white supremacist, the orange man loves David Duke, or some shit like that. Then the other things that Trump does that I didn't really like is like his asinine tweets. Like he would tweet shit that was just like, bro, why, like you shouldn't have a phone. Like you're the president of the United States, bro. Like I wasn't as incensed by them in terms of like, oh, he's saying racist things. It was more like it's not really becoming of a president, bro. Like you're actually like making yourself look bad. Like you should just stop tweeting things. And then you're saying things that are just false. You're tweeting things that are just wrong or that are like letting our other nations know shit about us that they don't need to know, bro. Like these are fucking security risks, bro. Like what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're the president. Like what? How can you be that irresponsible? So like these are fair criticisms of Trump. Trump in many ways was a bumbling buffoon, and he was even more so than George W.H. Bush. Remember the good old days when George W.H. Bush was the dummy and everybody used to make fun of him, and now everybody kind of put that on Trump. And like so, and there's more. I don't want to talk your ear off.
I feel like they've done that to the last couple of Republican presidents.
Oh, they
They don't
love
really do it to
George
Democrats.
W.H. Bush now because he don't fuck with Trump.
Yeah.
They're all
No,
chummy with him. Like, oh, you're at least
disagree.
you're better than Trump. Like, what? Like, you mean the motherfucker that sent us to Afghanistan in the first place? That motherfucker? The motherfucker that lied about weapons of mass destruction? That motherfucker? You like that dude now?
Yeah.
For real? Because the orange man's bad? Like, come on, y'all. Let's be reasonable.
Yeah,
Anyway.
so I don't disagree with, your many reasons for disliking the guy.
Yeah, you voted for him in 2020.
But
you gonna vote for him again, aren't you?
I still think
you
that
gonna
Trump
vote for him
is a net
again.
positive.
You're gonna vote for him again, aren't you, in 2024?
So here's the thing with my Trump with Trump, right? I think he's too old. So
he's too old. He's younger than Biden.
No, I know. I don't think that either of them should run in 2024.
Okay.
But I also don't want DeSantis.
You don't want DeSantis?
Yeah, so
if you're a conservative, who do you want?
I don't know if I want to vote this time around. The thing is,
you wouldn't vote for DeSantis?
If push came to shove, yes. But the thing is, I don't want him to be president yet. I think it's still too early. Like he just joined the political arena when he became governor of Florida. I don't think we know him well enough to know like what his actual motives are. Like I think he's doing all the right things conveniently. Right? Like I think he's the right things for conservatives.
Too perfect.
He's too perfect. Yeah.
All right, I guess. We got to get off the string because we got to start the other one. So I'm gonna interrupt you to wrap this up. So what I would like for you to do is to help us wrap up is to say whatever goodbyes or final thoughts to my guests, to my viewers, I should say, because you are my guest. Maybe you can start by saying what your experience on this podcast was like.
So speaking with Jason today was great. It was lit. It was a great conversation. I felt like you challenged me, and I appreciate the challenge. Even though like I'm stubborn and I probably won't budge on a lot of things. I did appreciate the challenge of the discussion, of the rhetoric. I think these were great topics, quintessential topics that I think will always, be at the forefront of a lot of conversations that people are going to have. And I do hope that the conversations that we have had today, provoke people to, break out of their echo chambers and, have discussions with people that they disagree with or are, those god awful fences.
Or god awful. You need us. We translate for both sides if we do our job right.
Yeah, whatever.
Would you come back?
This was great. This was great.
Would you be willing to come back?
Definitely.
Would you be willing to come back and talk to a leftist?
I mean, yeah. The thing, I mean, you could. I told you I'm not that great at debating. I told you that, and you could see it clearly because, I have my stance on things.
You weren't bad.
Okay, that's good. Well, yeah, I don't mind talking to a leftist.
But I wasn't that aggressive though.
No, you weren't. I've definitely seen you in action.
Why does everybody say that? I'm a nice person.
I'm glad you didn't bring. I think this level that you gave me today was fine.
What if you swear like I'm some kind of like
you I mean you can't. Okay, I mean not to mention are you gonna bring bro on? You should.
I want to. Bro didn't respond to me.
Oh man, that would be great.
But anyway, thank you. Chika is what you go by, but
yes, follow me on Instagram.
Ezewanyi.
Yes, follow me on Instagram. That's my handle right there. Right. Can I do a shameless plug?
Sure.
Oh, so I didn't really introduce myself like that, but I am a children's book author. So like, can you add that to? Well, I don't know.
I can't add it to the thing, but you can tell us about
it. So it's just a children's book, mainly for fathers and sons.
What's it called?
It's called Just as Important, a children's book for parents too. And it is available on Amazon. It's available other places, but I can't really remember right now.
Available on
But I
Amazon?
can send you the info to put the link in the caption if you want. I don't know.
No, I'm about to show it right now, like we've been showing everything.
Oh,
It's lit. That's because I do that, because this is my show. I run this. Shameless plug. You ready?
yeah.
Just as important on Amazon right here. And bam, here we go. All right. Just as important, the children's book for parents too, on Amazon by. Oh, look at you. Look at your headshot. I see
Okay.
you.
I need to change that.
I see. You don't like it? You don't like it?
Not anymore.
Why? I was admiring it. All right, whatever. I'll take my compliment back then.
But yeah,
this is the book cover.
That is the book cover. It's a really good book. So if you guys want to check it out, it's there on Amazon for you. If you're a teacher, it would be a great read for, your students.
Can I read it to my first graders?
Oh yeah, definitely. It is not a grooming book in any way, shape, or form. So
okay. Well, you just had to say you're gonna get me canceled.
I did.
You're gonna get me canceled. All right. Well, it's been fun. We've been talking for almost 5 hours, and we're gonna go for a couple more. Are you ready?
Yeah, I am.
All right. So I'll see you in the next segment. And I'm gonna go ahead and bring you off. Go ahead and stay in the background for me.
Okay.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that has been a current events episode of the Black Muse Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Muse. I'm really, really bad at promoting my social media and stuff, but I'm going to try to do it right now. You can follow me on pretty much all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook. I'm on Clubhouse too, Twitter. And my handles are usually Black Muse. Black spelled the normal way, Muse spelled with a Z, M-U-Z-E. And sometimes there is an underscore between the two. So I'm just leave it at that. I'm gonna start having like a little Chiron or whatever it has on my handles or whatever to make it easier. But yeah, been the Black Muse Podcast. Try to do something like this every at least once a week. I'm about to do 2 episodes with my host Chika, Ezewanyi, as I believe is how you pronounce it. But yeah, this has been fun, and man, I'm just looking forward to continuing to make content, and appreciate y'all joining us. See y'all on the live stream. But until next time, peace.